It's Sunday morning on CBS, and here again is Charles Kuralt.
In his book, Night Comes to the Cumberlands, Harry Caudle tells how it happened, how in the summer of 1885, gentlemen from the big cities started arriving at the houses of the mountaineers of the Cumberland Plateau. Fine, educated gentlemen who would sit right down at the table with the mountaineers, admire the wife's home and her cooking, and listen to the family stories. And in just a few days, it seemed, they were old friends. And then the gentlemen from the cities brought out deeds for the mountaineers to sign, deeds irrevocably giving up their rights to the coal and other minerals under the ground. The going price was 50 cents an acre. To this day, most of the rights to those rich veins of coal are not held by those who live there. They don't own the coal, they merely mine it. Our cover story reported by Jed Duval. Dig we must.
We've been at it all our life, and I guess we'll die. That's all we know. We took it from our dad. We went in the mine with our dad when we started. That's what I figured I'd do. Because our dad, he raised 13 of us by working in the mine, 6 boys and 7 girls.
And how many of those boys are still in the mines?
Well, there are 4 of us here today, and our sons is working with us.
You feel safe around Everett Joseph, probably because whenever you're in the coal mine the family operates, you're not far from somebody named Joseph. Everett's older brothers Lee and Luther, and younger brother Kenneth. Everett's son, Charles, is just one of several among the next generation at the mine in eastern Kentucky. You feel safe because they all work here. Blood kin are not reckless with each other's lives.
The main thing is in safety is making yourself safe. There's more safety to a man using his judgment and working safe than it is depending on someone out here to tell him how to be safe.
Still, you wonder why men do this. Go in little holes in the ground, beneath 500 feet of rock. Go way in under there. Go in where there's not much more headroom than there is beneath a kitchen table. They do a job the nation could not do without. As we find out during coal strikes, things begin to shut down when coal isn't moving. Down in there, the darkness makes the little lights look frail, and the air can go bad. Gas can seep from the coal. Enough of that, and it can explode. That's what they think happened in several Appalachian mines recently, accidents that killed more than 24 in all. Something like that has happened often enough over the past 80 years to have killed 100,000 coal miners.
There's not a miner that thinks, well, I'm going to the mines and I'm going to get killed tonight. It's not a thought that they think about every night. But in the back part of every miner's mind is the knowing that I may not come home tomorrow.
Steve Brewer, a union miner, works in a big Bethlehem Steel Company mine nearby, a mine where there's plenty of room and plenty of emphasis on safety. Nevertheless, he and Sharon Brewer think of the danger.
Just a way of life for us. We grew up with it, and it's just the way of life. We're used to it.
I think men who go down into the ground and have a rock above their head that may fall any minute, and gas and rock dust or coal dust that may explode at any time, they are a different breed from those who won't do that kind of work.
Harry Caudle did not want to follow his father into the mines. He became an educator and lawyer, an author with few peers on knowledge of the hills and their people.
Do you find that true? We're dealing with people who have been in those hills for a long time, and in other hills to the east for generations before that. So there's a very strong sense of place in the mountains. Those who have gone away frequently want to return, and those who have never gone away want to stay there. These are probably the most conservative people in the United States, because when the people came into the mountains, they came into a kind of maze or labyrinth of hills that just absorbed them and walled out the rest of the world.
Football was my ticket out. It was the only way that basically I could have gotten out of there.
What are you doing that for, 88? You do that one more time, 88, I'm going to sock you one. Now, don't do that. You run again, you'll get a broken nose. Don't do that. Hit me on the chin with the elbow.
Sam Huff was the bone-crunching linebacker for the New York Giants. Huff grew up in Appalachia, where many young men were heading for the mines.
You didn't want to go in the mines.
I never wanted to go in the mines. I saw my father come home from the mines, and he loved mining, and that's all he'd ever known. He'd come home from the mines, and his face would be so black with coal dust all over his face, and the coal dust would be up his nostrils, and he'd spit coal dust out of his lungs, and he finally died of really a black lung and bad heart.
Sam Huff would not follow his father into the mines, but Luther Joseph would and did.
Yeah, I went in with my daddy when I went to work in the mines.
When was that?
That was in 1933.
You were just a young boy.
Yeah.
Do you remember what it was like the first time?
Yeah, I was scared the first time.
What were you scared of?
I was scared of the top falling in.
Luther went in, and Everett was not far behind. It was the time before mechanization. The miners had small horses to help.
And you had to lay some track for the car?
Yeah, you lay track on a car.
You did that yourself?
Yeah. Bring it in with a pony there and load it by hand, and the pony take it out and dump it.
The pony take it out, and you have to go with the pony each
Yeah,
time?
you got to drive. You went with a pony.
The Joseph brothers say they've been working their own mines as their own bosses for 25 years without a fatal or even serious accident. Nobody badly hurt in a quarter century. Knock wood. That's why you feel safe sitting in there beneath a mountain of rock when the Joseph boys and their workers blow out part of the wall, drill holes and load dynamite and get set to loosen the coal. Shooting on the solid, it's called. It's controversial, banned in many coal states, but the Josephs insist it is safe.
We've never had no problems, and we've been at it for over 30 years. Whatsoever have we had any problems with shooting solid coal, and I guess we've shot millions of dollars worth of powder. We want to get back plenty far, but at least 60 or 75 feet around the curve somewhere.
The warning call is almost a mournful wail. Fire in the hole. Sam Huff was already in professional football before he ever went into a mine, and that was merely to visit.
And I went in with my father and my brother and went in and down there, and he showed me all these places where he was working and how they loaded out the mines and everything. It scared me to death. I was scared to death of that place. And, you know, it's cold down there, and it's so dark. You put your hand right up your face, and you couldn't even see your hand. You know, I'm not afraid to say it scared me. But it didn't scare him, and I couldn't understand that.
It doesn't scare a couple of 100,000 coal miners in large company-run operations, as well as small family-owned mines such as the Josephs. It is dismal, perilous, and repetitive work. But without it, without coal energy, lights would go dim across the land, maybe in your home, office, or factory. In a time of energy crisis, the country is even more dependent on coal and coal miners. These people live in a region whose vast mineral wealth is owned or controlled largely by outsiders, by rich people in New York and Philadelphia and places like that. Absentee ownership through faceless corporations that have held sway here for nearly a century. They left Appalachia with poor schools, low-paying jobs, conditions young people in large numbers want to get away from. And most parents do not plan for the children to be miners.
I had one man tell me one time that he said, you know, when my boys began to get old enough to need jobs, if one of them talked about working in the mines, I'd take him to the tipple and take a limb to him and wear him out. Say, don't you ever mention working in the mines again to me.
And all the time I was in high school, my parents said, we're going to give you the best education money can buy, so you don't have to go in the mines, so you won't go in the mines. And I think that was a general feeling. When we was in school, I never heard a man say, I want to be a miner. Nobody ever said, I wanted to be a miner. Everybody is always, well, I want to be a school teacher, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer. You never heard, I want to be a miner. They probably meant it, but dreams have ways of falling by the wayside.